Welcome back. Before coming to Michigan many years ago, I lived in Oklahoma, a state that was for years defined by the exodus of so-called Okies looking for refuge from the Dust Bowl, classically enshrined by John Steinbeck in The Grapes of Wrath. Yes, people have been chased by weather disasters for ages, and that phenomenon is certain to strike again with climate change that last week saw a town above the Arctic Circle break a high temperature record by a full 10 degrees. Eric Friedman is a Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist and director for the Knight Center for Environmental Journalism at Michigan State University, who's been writing about what's known as climigration for Crain's Detroit Business and Bridge Magazine, and joins me now. Eric, I really appreciate the time. I want to start with this notion, though, that this kind of movement of people from one place to another has a history that really goes back to the dawn of human time, doesn't it?
Yeah. It goes back in the Great Lakes region millennia, where native peoples had hunting routes, they had gathering routes, they stockpiled food. Then we saw the European immigrants and their descendants coming. Why did they come to Michigan? Because of natural resources here, industrialization in the East that they wanted to get away with, and of course opportunity, economic opportunity, family opportunity, and then the great migration of African Americans from the South in the first part of the 20th century.
Yeah, in fact, I love that
came here to our factories.
Eric,
Yeah.
you even dug up a song from the 1800s that was kind of a pitch jingle for immigrants that said, we have soils of various kinds to suit men who have different minds, prairies, openings, timbered land, and bur oak plains in Michigan. They were making a pitch, right, for new Michiganders.
That was before we had TV ads and
Right.
infomercials.
But you've also found that you've talked to a number of people who have already made the move. We look at wildfires that have chased people out of the West. We look at hurricanes that are increasingly chasing people because of their ferocity, or chasing people out of the Southeast. You've already talked to people who have found Michigan to be their refuge.
Some have ended up in the UP. Interviewed one man who moved with his family from Las Vegas to Hawley in suburban Detroit. And they come here for a variety of reasons. Sometimes they have a connection here. They maybe went to school, or they have relatives, or their grandparents had cottages on one of the lakes. And others come here because there's no active recruitment, but there's word of mouth. There's a Facebook group, for example, in the Keweenaw Peninsula, that is saying, come here, we have internet, we have inexpensive housing, we have snow, and you don't have wildfires, you don't have the flooding that you'll see in coastal areas of the Atlantic and the Gulf Coast. And they see a chance to continue their lives in a less stressful, less expensive place where it's easy to get outdoors and where there's growing opportunity and is establishing.
One of the things in fact, the title of the article, Eric, is how the Midwest can be a refuge amid climate change if we prepare. What does Michigan need to do to prepare?
Yeah. Well, I think of it as the Field of Dreams approach, the classic baseball movie.
Yep.
If you build it, they will come. We need to have adequate water and sewer systems. The system that we have in Detroit doesn't work. We have flooding every year.
Yep.
We have to have high-speed internet, which in rural areas of the state is still not available, so people work from home. We need to have roads and transportation. So those kinds of physical things. And we also have to have a willingness to accept people, to bring a diverse group of people to our state who will work, they'll go to our schools, they'll go to our universities, they'll contribute to our society.
Yeah. Last thing I wanted to ask you then is, what about our own climate worries? We've seen, we just saw this summer, we had a historic tornado, very out of character for northern Michigan, that hit Gaylord. And last year we saw the winds and waves whipping up on the lakes to the point where we were losing a lot of lakefront property all around the perimeter of the lower peninsula. What are our own climate worries?
One is the fluctuating levels of the Great Lakes, and those pictures we see every year, the iconic pictures of houses built on the dunes just collapsing
Yes.
down into the lake. It's not smart to build in those kind of places, but people do. So we have to do zoning to prevent more people from putting themselves and their property at risk. And we have to take the good with the bad. There's going to be expense to doing this. Taxpayers are going to have to pay. Local and state taxpayers are going to pay for new infrastructure. So water and sewer rates may go up. Cleaning brownfields, former industrial sites, to accommodate new industries that don't pollute. It's going to cost money to do that, and it's a long-term investment that we need to make, and our public officials need to be willing to make.
Yeah. Well, as I mentioned, it's a great intellectual exercise to think about what is, as you point out, already happening. Eric Friedman, I appreciate the articles that you've been writing. I'll keep following those. I'll invite others to do the same, and really appreciate your time. Thanks for joining me today.